Welcome back to the Black Pill. Today we're talking about Trumpism is a straight pride parade. Donald Trump is a walking, talking straight pride parade. What do we mean? First of all, Trumpism is fascism. Let's be clear-eyed about that. Uh, Mostly, it might be more apt to use Gary Kasparov's word, which is kleptocracy, rule by grifters and thieves. He uses that to describe Putin. But how we get to the rule by grifters and thieves is fascism. All right, so a few concepts that we need. Uh, this is mostly an excuse to lay a bunch of terms and phrases on you. Number one is appropriate guilt. There are a lot of pipe plates spinning in the air during a psychological intake evaluation. But one of the things I'm checking for is the ability to feel guilt over things one should, in fact, feel guilt over. If someone hurts someone else, then guilt is a healthy sign, actually. The guilt free human is not psychologically healthy, if you like things in those terms. Conversely, people sometimes feel guilty over things that they have no individual control over. Guilt over climate change is probably inappropriate because there's nothing a single person can do about it, for or against. Next, a distinction between guilt and shame. Shame is the knowledge that one is bad, and the only cure for shame ultimately is suicide or denial. If one is bad, if one is essentially bad, then there's no atonement for that. There's no corrective. The essence of badness is within. Guilt, on the other hand, is for our purposes the knowledge that one has in some way transgressed. Atonement is possible. We can fix the broken thing. We can re earn trust in a relationship. We can make some form of restitution. Sometimes no corrective is possible in the short term. The relationship is just broken, but one still might learn from that mistake and apply one's agency or one's essential freedom to the task of becoming a person who does not again transgress in that way. Pride. Pride is the opposite of shame. It's the knowledge one is good. Number four, gay pride. When society and individual people, including often one's own family, parents, have been telling someone their whole lives that that person is shameful, then pride is a useful corrective for that. Being proud of one's immutable characteristics is, of course, a silly endeavor. We all understand that. Praising our children for being beautiful or clever ultimately leads towards narcissism. Praising children for hard work, for effort, that leads towards some kind of productivity and skill sets and so forth. But for a child who's been raised in a toxic environment, demeaned, degraded, debased, and abused, they might need to hear some good words about themselves. Gay pride is dysfunction, correcting for a lifetime of shame, of inappropriate shame. Narcissistic love. Item five, narcissistic love. Man, see theremin trees for a lot of talk about narcissism. Um, at least for a humanistic therapist, love is by definition unconditional. I owe my clients unconditional positive regard. I stand in awe of them, meaning I don't judge, I don't diagnose, don't attempt to change the person. Outside the therapy room, though, people learn other kinds of love. A parent might love their gay child if. Carl Rogers calls this conditions of worth. Mother loves you if you are happy. If you're sad, she tries to make you be happy. Christians often love in this manner. If you're an atheist, they try to make you into a faithful Christian. These kinds of love conflict. You cannot love me if you are trying to change me. You love some idealized version. The person on the receiving end of coercive change typically does not feel very loved by that coercion. Next concept, item 6, is validation. If people are good and people are like me, I am good. I can get, pardon my dogs making themselves comfortable in here. Um, I can get lots of validation from in groups. I can go to existential humanistic conferences, for example, and be surrounded by people who are like minded and admirable, and thus find myself admirable. And then item 7, the thing we're working up to, is the idea of straight pride. And straight pride is a slap. It's a direct insult to gay pride. It isn't offered by people who love their LGBT plus family and acquaintances. It's offered by people agitating against gay rights and acceptance, who want to make equality seem like it would put the majority in a one down position to the minority, just trying to get basic rights and acceptance. Straight people don't need pride. Here's the thing, because we haven't been raised to believe we're inferior because of our sexual orientation. We feel the way society demands that we feel. No pride should derive from conformity, nor necessarily any shame. Trump is now just a symbol for the authoritarian right. He's a walking, talking Confederate flag, a promise that the South will rise again, bringing with it not states' rights, but white supremacy, slavery, Christian nationalism, a brutal social order with an arbitrarily chosen wealthy overclass. What Trump does is take pride in shameful things. He mocks veterans and war heroes, the disabled, democracy itself. He appears as a spray tan buffoon. His straight talk isn't truth, it's anti trans, anti gay, anti woman. Conservatives in modernity feel ashamed of their values, that late night talk shows are directly insulting them, that their woke children are elder shaming them. It's not an entirely unjustified view. The lampooning Comedy Central version of Stephen Colbert, for example, was a direct slap in the face. At the same time, the left isn't always or even usually telling the right they are bad, stupid, or evil. Man, I'm on lefty Twitter, and you could for sure get that impression on Twitter. But Twitter's a microcosm. Um, Actually listen to a leftist campaign speech or read an op ed. The left is pushing for rights and protections for vulnerable minorities. They're not saying you have to unconditionally love people you disagree with, but that you can't force them to be like you. Diversity is good, monoculture is problematic. Trump invites people to be proud of their hate. We're going to take America back. From whom? We're going to make it into a white Christian nation where everyone says Merry Christmas and we don't owe anyone the consideration of acknowledging other holidays or beliefs. We don't need to use trans people's preferred pronouns. We don't need to feel ashamed of touching someone's hair without permission. And dreadlocks don't belong in sports. We don't need to query for a second why. But taking pride in white Christian identity is silly. It's unearned. You haven't done anything to be white or probably Christian any more than a gay person has done something to be gay. The difference is society at large and your own parents aren't shaming you for your immutable characteristics. You might be feeling a lot of pressure to abandon conservatism, but conservatism is not an immutable characteristic. It's a choice specifically to discriminate, to foot drag and knuckle drag. Trump rallies, yeah, he's still doing those for some reason, are massive in group validation for people whose concept of love is fundamentally narcissistic. We only love people like us, and if you're different, you need to conform to gain acceptance. Mocking disabled people is reprehensible. You could apologize for that. And you could decide to stop voting for a man and a party willing to do it. The appropriate response to being called out is guilt, not shame. Okay, bye.